Alright, continuing on with talking about what happens in Genesis of the Daleks. Doctor Who. So then, the Mutos admire Sarah. They say, she's beautiful. No deformities. No imperfections. One of the other Mutos says, she's a norm. All norms are our enemies. Kill her now for what she's done to our kind. And then some Thal soldiers approach. Well, the Thals, the Thal soldiers, they get near the, they scare away the majority of the Mutos that were gathered. And then the Thals approach. Well, I guess there was only just one Muto left. It was the Muto and the Muto. A Muto stayed with Sarah. Okay, so the Thal soldiers approach the Muto and Sarah. And then okay, so this is it's mean, but it's kind of funny. So then one of the Thal soldiers looks at Sarah and says, "It's almost a norm." So a little different comment about Sarah Jane's appearance. Almost a norm. The Thal soldiers take Sarah and the Muto because they need expendable labor for the rocket loader. Davros enters the lab where the doctor is being interrogated. He brings in a Dalek for a demonstration. The Dalek wants to exterminate the Doctor and Harry, but a scientist named Ronson turns off the power to the Dalek's weapon, which is on the controls of on the vehicle that Davros is riding around on. So the Ronson turns off the power. He flips a switch that controls the Dalek's weapon. Ronson says it's because he's not finished interrogating them. Davros says that Ronson will be punished for insubordination, but he can continue interrogating the Doctor and Harry. The Doctor convinces Ronson to help him. So this is later when Ronson is continuing his interrogation. Often the holding cell. The Doctor convinces Ronson to help him and Harry escape through a ventilation shaft. So that's a common thing that happens, well, in other movies and shows, escaping through ventilation shafts. It happens a few times, quite a few times in Doctor Who. Which I think the comment has been made about. It's funny that in movies and shows that people escape through ventilation shafts a lot, but typically ventilation shafts are not large enough to hold people in, which makes sense. All right. Then later, Sarah leads the prisoners in an escape up the scaffolding of the rocket that they're working by. So she leads a prison break. But a lot of the prisoners who there's Mutos that are prisoners, and there's also at least one. There might be more, but there's at least one soldier of the opposition, one of the Collets, who's a prisoner. So a lot of these prisoners, they get shot while they're climbing up this scaffolding. Sarah even falls at one point, but she manages to continue crawling back up while they're being shot at by the Thals. Sarah and a Muto, they make it all the way to the top, but then they get recaptured at the top of the rocket. But then one of the soldiers taunts Sarah by dangling her over the edge at the top of the rocket. He says, "If I should just slacken my grip, they say people who fall from great heights are dead before they hit the ground." That's a scary thought. Scary to think of falling, but just the idea of you would die before you hit the ground, what, from shock or heart attack? Oof, it's scary to think of falling to your death, that's for sure. So he continues on, this soldier who's taunting Sarah as he's dangling her over the edge. He continues, I don't believe that, do you? You're going back to work. So that's why he doesn't kill her. He needs her to keep working. Apparently didn't feel that for the ones that were shot, though. And then he continues, in a day or so, you'll wish I had let you drop. Because the stuff that the prisoners are, I guess, loading onto the rocket is, I think it's like radioactive. So the longer that the prisoners continue to be exposed to the materials that are being loaded on the rocket, they're getting sick, getting sicker and sicker the longer they're prolonged to this material that they're loading. I think they called it toxemia, some type of toxemia. I think that was one of the Khalid prisoners said that. Okay, so then later the doctor rescues. This is when the doctor and Harry, they've escaped through the ventilation shaft. So then, at this point, the Doctor rescues Harry from a giant clam creature. So this is one of Davros's experiments. And then later, the Doctor and Harry meet with the young general and other opponents of Davros. They agree that Davros's experiments should be suspended. Davros agrees to let there be an investigation into his work on the Daleks and that it will be suspended. Then later he tells Niter that there won't be an investigation. And the men who asked for the investigation signed their own death warrants. Then Davros and Niter meet with the Thals and tell them how they can destroy the Kala Dome that protects their city. So kind of a traitorous act there. Miss Davros is doing. And Niter. Not kind of. Literally traitorous. And then later, the Doctor approaches two Thal guards and says, "Excuse me, can you help me? I'm a spy." And then smiles. Then the Doctor knocks them unconscious. So that's kind of a little another humorous scene with Tom Baker as the Doctor. It's not nice to see the Doctor. He was being a little violent there. There's times, typically in the Doctor Who, typically in Doctor Who, the Doctor is represented as not liking guns or violence. Especially like the first actor who played the Doctor, I'm pretty sure he was never violent. And I don't think Patrick Troughton was either. John Pertwee was a little bit. He used to do karate chopping. But I guess I'm digressing. I just find it interesting that sometimes the Doctor appears a little violent, and sometimes he appears a little he appears opposed to violence. Like sometimes he's willing to use weapons, and sometimes he's specifically says, "I don't like guns." I guess that comes from different actors. Well, it really comes from different writers throughout the Doctor Who, but I guess one way of looking at it is, well, there's different actors also playing the Doctor, and so the Doctor is regenerating into different personas, so different personalities. So it's possible that at different versions of the Doctor will feel differently about guns and violence. But it is a funny moment there with Tom Baker when he admits to being a spy.